Most organizations spend years strengthening governance. Their charters define responsibilities, formal escalation. Frederick Gillen argues that under stress, the same governance structures can become part of the problem. Welcome back. You're listening to Risk Masters, the download where I share bite-sized insights from our latest interviews. This extract comes from a conversation with Frederick Gillen, executive partner at Reply. Drawing on decades of experience advising financial institutions, regulators, and boards, Frederick explores an uncomfortable question. Can governance become so well structured that it actually slows down organizational response during periods of stress? Here is Frederick.
You can have a perfect governance structure, very mature on paper, and that gets praised by regulators and supervisors, clear charters, escalation matrices, the 3 lines beautifully articulated, etc. And under normal conditions, that distributed framework works very well. Under stress, it can lead to lack of accountability or worse, sequential decision making, so slow things down. I think that's one thing that I would be worried about when I look at the impact of mature governance frameworks from a resilience point of view. But I see, and that's in a particular segment of the industry, another fracture point or weak link. And you will be very familiar with it. We have a lot of large financial institutions, global or regional at least, where you have cross-entity governance. That's the way they are run. But you also have legal entity governance. And certainly what I observe is that when stress hits the legal architecture, so this legal entity governance, and the operational architecture, so the group governance, do not align. And this issue is compounded by the fact that supervisors are, with a few exceptions, very much focused on the legal architecture as opposed to the group architecture. I see a lot of friction there. We've seen it in the crisis. We see a lot of emphasis, in particular by the European Central Bank, on that topic. It remains a big question mark to me in terms of firms behave differently under normal circumstances and under stress, and I think we still haven't resolved this.
And I can see many problems in a risk space around that. In fact, I was talking about risk appetite this week, precisely around this topic, where I was asking the person, how is the decision-making process for certain function, and how does it align cross-functionally versus legal entity structure? And there is a very clear disconnect where the risk function tends to push a bit for, that legal alignment, as you just talked about, but this is not how decisions are being made and functions are being run.
Yes, and I think even more to the point, perhaps. Sometimes you are you're in a much better position to manage risks on a global level than on a legal entity level. So the sheer quality of your risk management, and therefore the way you mitigate the risk of having a resilience problem, can be dampened by the fact that you have to focus a bit more on the legal entity architecture than you would otherwise do due to regulatory, legal, or supervisory constraints. Totally understand the regulators and supervisors. I mean, they've been burned during the crisis. Can't blame them for that. But I think as an industry, we must be able to do better. This is an area where, as an industry, stakeholders need to find a way to improve, because we are so suboptimal in the way we do things today in that regard.